Okay. So as I said, this is the last chapter of this book, last chapter of Bhakti Shastri. So just to give you an overview, what we have been doing in Nectar of Devotion. Wait a minute, where the slides go? Slides, yes. Okay. Yeah. So we chapter 1 and intro was Samanya Bhakti, which included the characteristics of Bhakti. Chapter 2 to 16 was Sadhana Bhakti. It was further divided into Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. 2 to 14 was Vaidhi Bhakti, where we looked at 64 items which of practice that Rupa Goswami is giving us to do. And 15 and 16 is Raganuga Bhakti. Both of them had rules and regulations. Vaidhi Bhakti rules regulations were as duty, out of respect for spiritual master. And in Raganuga, where we have got some taste, the rules and regulations became more out of inspiration. Rules and regulations don't go away. So rules and regulations, they continue. They continue even in the Raganuga stage. Krishna says this in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that yagya dana tapah karma natyajam karyam evatat yagyo danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishina. That these some sacrifice, charities, penances, they are not to be given up. They are even done by great souls. Manishina. Manishina means great souls. So pavanani manishina. Right? And then how you should do it, he says in the next verse that you should do it, 6th verse of that chapter, that you should do it as a offering to me, Arjun. They should be performed without any expectation or attachment to results, right? So even for people who are advanced, these things continue to happen. Rules and regulations. It might be different the way this presented because it's out of love or ecstasy they are doing it. They might not be exactly as the way I as a neophyte bhakta do it, but then there are rules and practices which they continue, right? Then 17th, 18th chapter, the last discussion we had was around ecstasy. That was Bhava Bhakti. And then we discussed that Bhava Bhakti can be achieved by two ways: by practice, coming through this path, right? And then by mercy. Mercy could be by words, by glance, or by good wishes. And we saw examples of this in the last discussion. Just to highlight again, the practice being talked about here, this is not a part of sadhana bhakti. Understand that. Sadhana bhakti is only up to chapter 16. Only up to Raganuga is sadhana bhakti. Bhava and prema, they don't come under the umbrella of sadhana bhakti. But as I mentioned earlier, devotees continue to do the rules regulation. Okay. So this is what we had done, and today we are doing the last chapter of Nectar of Devotion for Bhakti Shastri, which is Prema Bhakti, Bhakti out of love. Okay. And there is this verse I put in here just so that to give you a hint of. This is a verse from the 23rd chapter of Madhya Lila, and Mahaprabhu is talking about how the love progresses. Because somebody can ask you that bhava and prema, they sound similar. They have the same characteristic. As we discussed in the last time, that bhava is not as intense as prema. So now it comes into a bit of a gray area. So this verse helps us understand this much better. That what does it mean? So there are different levels, right? So the first level is this sugarcane seeds. Okay, and so sugarcane seeds, there is no taste of it, right? The spiritual life has started. However, there's no taste in that yet, right? There's no sweetness in it as of yet. That's the uh, essence of it. Okay, and very much like when we develop that initial shraddha, right? That's the step here. Then the plant comes, sugarcane plant. So that the seeds start converting to a plant when we continue to do sadhana bhakti, chanting, hearing, serving. So still we're not tasting sugar yet, but there is potential to be cultivated. We are seeing the growth happen. Earlier they were seeds, now it's converted to a plant. Then comes the first sweetness that we see is the sugarcane juice. Okay, here this is where the sweetness starts becoming visible. We start enjoying devotional service, right? And after that comes molasses. When you keep boiling the sugarcane juice, you keep boiling, it thickens and becomes a juice. It's sweeter than the sugarcane juice, but still it is not refined. It's sticky. It's unrefined. Okay. There is some love, but still we have material connections. We have a material identity. We have our ego mixed in it, right? And then comes the crude sugar. Okay. So there is after sugar chain, crude sugar. So crude sugar, the molasses now have crystallized. So the sweetness is more defined, but it's still coarse. Right? So we feel that deep spiritual mood. Right? And there is some mention, right? Tears flowing out of our ear and softness. Those kind of things start showing up. And after that comes sugar candy. Okay? So, or refined sugar, you can say. Refined sugar, it's clear, it's pure, it's potent. Right? And then after that comes sugar candy. Sugar candy, it is sweet, it's solid, and it's also medicinal to some extent. It cures the disease that our tongue has, right? Sayat Krishna Namadi Sitapya Vidya, Pitto Patapana Rasanasya Narochikan. In Rupa Goswami Nectar of Instruction, 7th verse, he says that we have this disease of our tongue, which is called like jaundice. Even if I put a sweet thing on it, it still tastes bitter to me, right? So it's now at this point, the prema has become sweet, but it's also healing me. It's spiritual uplifting me. It's healing means that I have lived millions of lives where I have been battered by material nature, and now I'm healing out of it. Right? So now the devotee becomes an instrument of divine grace. He becomes pure. He's just the divinity, Krishna's mercy is flowing through him to others. And the last comes the rock candy, which is the most concentrated crystalline form of sweetness. So this is Mahabhav, right? Especially Srimati Radharani and the gopis. It's inconceivable, it's unlimited, it's constantly expanding beyond even bliss. So why so many levels are needed? Because sweetness is not just one taste, it's not one note. It deepens, it purifies, and it intensifies over time. Right? So Mahaprabhu in this verse tells us that a time comes when Krishna's name, forms, and pastimes become so sweet that that's the only thing that nourishes my soul. Nothing else. I wanted to give you this description just so that you have it on your mind and not get too technical about what we are reading. Oh, Bhava says this, and this says this, and where is this? And yeah, you can get technical. Yes, for sure. However, understand that sweetness is not something that you can define very clearly. It's only when you will start feeling it, will you be able to imagine, not just imagine, you'll be able to relish it. It's, as Krishna says in the 9th chapter, it's something that you realize by yourself. Nobody can tell you what it is like. Right? If somebody asks that, hey, what is the difference between molasses and the crude sugar taste? What's the sweetness like? And you'll say, no, it's same sweet, it's sweet. But we'll not be able to tell the difference. I wanted to just give you this verse so that you have this clarity around prema. Okay. So because we're getting into prema, things might get technical. There might be words here and there, but Jones, don't get confused about it. Don't try to get too technical. And if you want to get too technical, there are some other books that we can read. Okay. Now, how does Rupa Goswami define prema? Because this chapter is called Prema Bhakti, devotional service in pure love of God. And Prabhupada tells us, when one's desire to love Krishna in one's particular relationship becomes intensified, this is known as pure love of Godhead. One's particular relationship. So understand, by this point, we know what our relationship with this Krishna is. Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, that becomes clear to us. We don't try to artificially imitate, as we read earlier. We are not Sahajiyas. Prabhupada has given us a very clear path. Do your duty, uh, be strict, serious, and sincere, and your relationship will be revealed to you as you progress forward. We don't try to do unnecessarily. Okay, so yes, this is the chapter that defines prema. Samyam mashrita svanto mamatva ati shayankita bhava sa eva sandratma buddhe prema nigadyate. When the bhava softens the heart completely, becomes endowed with a great feeling of possessiveness in relation to the Lord, and becomes very much condensed and intensified, it is called prema, love of Godhead, by learned scholars. Okay, so this is Rupa Goswami's definition of prema. And Prabhupada tells us, he goes on to explain this. What does that mean? In Narada Pancharatra, it is clearly stated then when lust is completely transferred to the Supreme Godhead and the concept of kinship is completely reposed in him, such is accepted as pure love of God by great authorities like Bhishma, Prahlada, Uddhava, and Narada. So Prabhupada is giving, or Rupa Goswami is giving examples also of those people. So he's saying, Prabhupada is saying, concept of kinship is completely reposed in him. So in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna tells us about this, Krishna says, Gatir Bhrita Prabhu Shakshi Nivashaha Sharanam Suhirit Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. Krishna is saying to Arjun that what is the perfection? I am the goal, I become the sustainer, master, witness, abode, refuge, and so forth. Everything. I become everything. Right? So Krishna, when a devotee starts seeing Krishna that way, then that's the point where that everything, so all the kinship is invested in Krishna. That's what it means. Right? Even Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says this in his what is that? I'm trying to remember. Yes, that's in Manasa Deho Geho. So Manasa Deho Geho, he says, Janaka Janani Daita Tanaya Prabhu Guru Pati Tuhu Sarva Moya. That you are my mother, father, lover, son, preceptor, husband, everything. You are everything to me. Right? So he says, Bhakti Vinoda Kahe Suno Kana Radha Natha Tuhu Hamara Prana. That you are my life and soul. You are everything to me. That's the stage of pure love. Okay. So now let's get back to our definition. That was just a slight detour I took. So coming back to the definition, Samyam Mashrita Swanto. Samyak means complete. Mashrita Swaanta, which makes the heart soft. Now understand this, that we also talked about softness in the bhava stage. But this is complete softness. This is samyak softness. Right? So the primary characteristic of prema is there is bhava sa eva sandaratma. What is sandaratma means? It's very much condensed and intensified. So it's more condensed and intensified. It's a more condensed and intensified state of bhava. And then the other one is samyam mashrita swanto. So these are the two primary characteristics. So as I said, samyam means complete. It completely softens the heart. In bhava, the softness is not complete. In prema, it is complete. And then it's mamatva atishayan kitaha. Mamatva, we all have familiar with this word. Mamatva means motherly, right? Mamatva. So there is this, but here it means, mamatva means, where's the word mamatva? Sense of ownership. There's a sense of possessiveness. Krishna, you are mine. That kind of an emotion happens. And then ati shayankitaha. So ankita means ankit karna. You know, ankit in Sanskrit means to mark something. Ati shaya means lot. So this word means marked with lot of intense emotions, right? Mamatva atishayanti. So marked with lot of intense emotions. And Sandratma, as we said, is condensed. So condensed, heart softens completely. It's marked with intense feeling of possessiveness. Right? So we have also read from Padma Puran, right? I've quoted that verse many times. Yuvati nam yatha yuni, yunam cha yuvathav yatha, mano abhiravate tadvai. Um, I forgot the last line. Yeah, so what it means, just like a young girl falls, is in love with a young boy, and a young boy is in love with a girl. May my love be towards you that way, completely absorbed. So, and Prabhupada is quoting authorities like Bhishma. He's quoting Bhishma. According to Bhishma, love means reposing one's affection completely upon one person, withdrawing all affinities from any other person. Right? So that's just what being said here, right? Withdrawing all affinities. So because Krishna, but then what does it mean that you lose connection with everybody? Do we become secluded? No. Because Krishna is connected to everyone, our love flows to everyone, but it is through Krishna. Okay. So Bhishma gave good advice to Duryodhana also, and he gave good advice to those Pandavas also. So love flows through Krishna for everybody. So our connection, externally, it looks exactly the same. Internally, we know that we are a pure instrument of Krishna. We are not. We have lost our identity. I'm just a servant of Krishna. Right? And it's highly possessive ownership of Krishna. In Golok Vrindavan, there are two groups of gopis. One is led by Chandravali and the other is led by Radharani. Right? The difference lies that the mood of Chandravali and her gopis is tadiyatva. Right? Tadiyatva. Tadiyatva means I am Krishna's. Okay. And whereas on the other hand, Radharani and her gopis have a mood of mamatva. Mamatva means Krishna is mine. Okay, so see the difference. Tadiyatva means I am Krishna's. Right? Whereas mamatva means Krishna is mine. There's a possessiveness in the mamatva aspect. That's Prem Bhakti aspect. Krishna is mine. Just like Yashoda Maya. Whenever Krishna would show her the universe, for a minute she would be confused, but then said, no, no, he's my child. He's nobody. He's not a devotee. He's not a demigod. He's not Bhagavan. Nothing, nothing. He's my child. That's the mood of a pure devotee. Right? So in this material world, I think I'm independent. Right? But that feeling is not conducive to prema. Tadiyatva, for example, obviously Tadiyatva and Mamatva both are, they're just pure love, yes. However, we are talking at it as if it's something very common, but it's not. By Prabhupada's mercy, we get to talk about this. In material world, I think I'm independent. Being somebody, if I say in this world, oh, I'm his, or I'm his something, right? Like, so that becomes a sense, there's some sense, oh, no, I'm not, I don't belong to anybody. There's no bondage. We try to get away from bondage. However, we don't understand that in this material world, also we see it. We might have freedom, but we don't have fulfillment. For example, when COVID happened, there was a survey done by Microsoft. Actually, there's a website you can look at it. It's called WorkLab. Microsoft has a website where they put a lot of digital podcasts and publications, and they explore the future of work and AI and whatnot. So in that, they said that 65% of the people felt there was a decrease in social connection. So even though there was freedom, right? You were at your home. You can probably just sit in front of the laptop in your home dress. You don't have to dress up. But that feeling of social isolation drastically increased. Obviously, that is a material aspect, but that's in spiritual also. Fulfillment is needed. Freedom is not what we are looking for. They're looking for fulfillment. Even I'm looking for fulfillment even at the cost of my freedom. That is why Prabhupada said regulative principles of freedom. Right? That gives us fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from reciprocation. For reciprocation, we need relationship. We fall in love. We don't stand in love. We fall in love because there is a need of subordination in fulfillment. Manasa deho geho jo kichu mora ara pilo tua pade nanda kishora. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Manasa deho geho. Everything. Deho, sharir, manasa, mind. Geho means all my expansions, my children, everything. Jo kichu mora, whatever is mine. Ara pilo tua pade. I'm offering that at your feet. Nanda Kishora, Nanda's son, Krishna. So, Prema Bhakti has a mood of Krishna is mine, Mamatva. In Bhava Bhakti, one gets vision of the Lord and understands his eternal relationship with Krishna. In Prema Bhakti, because now it's more condensed, one actually enters the Lord's pastime. Okay? One actually enters the Lord's pastime in one's eternal spiritual identity. And overwhelmed with that mood, the devotee says, Krishna is my son, Krishna is my friend, Krishna is my lover. So possessiveness also sometimes we think is bad because Krishna throughout Bhagavad Gita is teaching us to give up our possessions. Right? He said, Nirmamu Nirankara. Yeah. So give up possessiveness. But there is ahankar, me and mine. I am this body and the extensions of this body are mine. Aham mameti. So mamatva, when we think at it from a normal spiritual understanding of us, of me as a neophyte, when I think of it, I think, oh no, I don't want mamatva, I don't want possessiveness. But in prema, this possessiveness becomes topmost. All the emotions have to be directed to Krishna. Radharani gets very angry when she comes to know that Krishna was with Chandravali. And this mamatva, this possessiveness that Radharani has for Krishna is very pleasing to Krishna. There's an intimate relationship. What is Rath Yatra? Rath Yatra is taking Krishna back to Vrindavan from Kurukshetra. Right? Bhagavatam tells us this, that when Krishna met the gopis in Kurukshetra, Kurukshetra after nearly 100 years, Krishna is going to Kurukshetra. There's an eclipse, I think, and there he's meeting everybody. So all the Vrindavan Brijvasis also go. Oh, we'll see Krishna after a long time, and there they see him in his kingly attire, and they get really they don't like that. They say, Krishna, we like you in Vraja. We like you with your flute tucked in your cloth, in your what the cloth that you tie around your waist, right? Naumidyate abhravapusha tadit ambaraya. The first verse of the 10th canto, 14th chapter, Brahma is saying that. Naumidyate abhuravapusha. That you're dark as a cloud, and then your cloth is like lightning. Tadid ambaraya. And then what are you? Vanya Shraje. And he says Vanya Shraje means you're wearing a garland of forest flowers. And then you have Vishal Vatra Vishana Venu. So you have a stick for the cows, you have a bugle horn, you have a flute, right? And your feet are very soft, Mirdupade. So that's the Krishna that the gopis like. That's the Krishna that the gopis love and they want to see him. So Rath Yatra is bringing Krishna back from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan. So mood is that Krishna belongs to me, belongs to Brajvasis. So when somebody is in Mamatva, Tadiyatva is already included in that. Okay. So just wanted to talk a bit about that. Let me see, did I write that somewhere? Yes. Okay, I didn't include that here. Okay. Okay, before I move forward, everything okay with that? Any thoughts, comments, questions? Was this all clear? Take a pause.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. You explained about that, this 101 love towards Krishna.
Mhm.
So is it you have to have complete possessiveness in that relationship? So does that mean that we, when we are trying to get that bhava, we have to love Krishna wholeheartedly and no other attachment to any other person, be it be a family member or anyone. And then this deep sense, I am yours and you are mine, kind of
Mhm.
love
Mhm.
is expressed here.
Yes, and it's not that you are not attached to your family members. No, that's not it. See, you, as I was mentioning,
Mhm.
you see them as Krishna. So it becomes a triangular relationship instead of a how do you call it, a horizontal relationship between two people. Triangle means Krishna becomes in the picture. I am related to Krishna, and this and the other person is also related to Krishna. So that's the triangle. So that's how we are related to each other. You don't cut your relationship in this world, even after you become a pure devotee.
Mhm.
But you understand that this other person is also Krishna's. So your love is flowing to them, but through Krishna now. So you don't. So what I'm stressing on is, you don't think that you don't have any association in this world or you don't have any relationship and everything is gone. I don't want you near me. Children, husband, wife, all get
Mhm.
lost. No, no, that's not the word. What is being told, right? So as the bhava that we want is that we want that bhava to flow through Krishna, that love to flow through Krishna, not directly to that person. Then it becomes material.
Mhm.
But when it flows through Krishna, then it's bhakti.
Mhm.
Did that make sense? Sandeep?
Yes, Prabhu, yes, it very much, because I was confused that we have to just detach ourselves
No, no,
and
not
then
attachment.
put everything into that relationship of Krishna. That is what I was understanding. So it's good that you clarify that it has to be three-dimensional, but it has to flow from Krishna to them instead
Yes.
of concentrating it on one place. That is what is I understood. Is that okay?
Yes, I can do that. And I'll show you to show you one more thing. In
Mhm.
Prabhupada talks in the purport for the 13th chapter, there is a verse. Uh, I'll pull it up, I'll show you. Where Prabhupada talks about this concept of detachment, as we were just discussing. Let me see if I can find. Oh,
Mhm.
yes, here it is. Okay, let me share my screen. So this is 13th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, verse number 8 to 12. There is a word where Krishna is giving all these qualities which are of knowledge, and there is this concept of arati. So rati means attachment, arati means without attachment, and Prabhupada is going to explain that to us. So let's go quickly read that. As for detachment from children, wife, and home, it is not meant that one should have no feelings for these. They are natural objects of affection. But when they are not favorable to spiritual progress, then one should not be attached to them. The best process for making the home pleasant is Krishna consciousness. If one is in full Krishna consciousness, he can make his home very happy because this process of Krishna consciousness is very easy, right? And then Prabhupada gives the four things that you should do: chant, offer food to Krishna, discuss books like Bhagavad Gita, and do deity worship, right? One should train the family members of his family in this way. They can all sit down and do this, right? And furthermore, yeah, okay. So yes, as Prabhupada is saying, it's not meant that one should have no feelings for these. They are natural objects of affection. However, they should be, you should make them Krishna conscious. So Krishna consciousness, what it means to make your family Krishna conscious, is two aspects. One, yes, obviously you can make them Krishna conscious. They can pick up bhakti process, chanting and reading and hearing and so forth. However, we also make others Krishna conscious by our purity also, when we get purified. As Prabhupada would see everybody, like, as we have read earlier, right? Uttama Bhakti, who is a Uttama devotee, he sees that everybody is a devotee except me. So by puring myself also, I can see others as Krishnas, and I can see them that they are playing their own role in Krishna's Leela. They have their own journey, and Krishna is taking care of them also. So there are two aspects to it. So that's what it means. So don't no, yeah, not giving up family life or children or wife. Yes, just wanted to bring this as an evidence to what we were just discussing.
That is great, really. That clarifies, because I was thinking that when you have to go reach out to that bhava stage, you have to forget about everything else other than Krishna and just invest everything in Krishna. But now I understand how it has to be done. So this
Okay.
is very nice explanation. Then one more question is that we may try to bring the family together by this Krishna consciousness uh, practice in our home,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
sometimes it may so happen that suppose you are into one kind of sect and you're following a particular process belonging to that sect, and the other family member is following a different sect, and again and another person is following a different sect, that it becomes very difficult to do
Mhm.
the discussion of the, like it is mentioned here, the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, because they have a different idea of uh, what you understand and know. So, in that situation, what should you do? I mean, Krishna consciousness is there, but from different lineage. I mean,
Uh, well, if other members are not, then you should look for association. Obviously, see, people around you, they won't see what you are speaking. They will judge you on your actions. If you are doing your bhakti, but still you have some negativity towards your family. Oh, why are you practicing this path, or why are you doing this, or why don't you come to ISKCON and do this? They will never come because they won't see that love coming from you. When you love them, irrespective of wherever they are coming from, just seeing them as Krishnas and understanding that they have their own journey. Yes, they are your family members, but for now they have their own journey. For now they might be your family members, but like as the example is given that you know uh, in a when two leaves are floating in a river, and sometimes they come together and sometimes they separate. That's the way relationships are made, right? So they are not like they're eternally your family members. So you have to be tolerant. You have to present yourself as a devotee so that they can pick up from you, and then they will change themselves. Obviously, we don't claim that we are perfect either. Probably Krishna has chosen that path for them. So be respectful of that also. However, the most important thing is how you present yourself. That's more important. So, but if you are if they are completely antagonistic, but you should do your bhakti. Even if some cases might be where your spouse or your family might be completely against you, but you still keep on doing your bhakti. Krishna will take care of everything. Right? At the end of the day, your bhakti is the most important thing. Yes, we can serve others, we can give bhakti to, or whatever Krishna wants us to give bhakti to others, we can do that. At the end of the day, everybody has to row their own boat. You cannot change that. So have that kind of detachment also, and simultaneously also respect what the other people are doing in your family, and try to present an example by which they could feel motivated and pick up what you are doing. That's what we all are doing. We are trying to present ourselves as not present. We want to show people that bhakti changes us. I become more tolerant. I become compassionate. And then others will be impressed by it. That's my 2 cents around it, Mati.
thank you, Prabhu. I mean, that sounds really great because I don't have problem giving them the due respect for what they are following. It is
Mm.
the other way around.
And that will always happen, Mataji. That will always happen. You will. You have to get rid of that expectation that, people will start. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm getting it right, but is it that the other person does not appreciate what you're doing? Is that what you're saying, Mataji?
No, not really. It is that they think that they are right and what I am doing is not correct. That is kind
Yes.
of thing.
And that's fine, Mataji. Let them do it.
Mm.
Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has to go through a whatever cycle they have to go through. We cannot change them, but you stick to it because you are seeing benefit from it.
Yeah, I'm
The,
reaping benefits to
yeah,
it, so I'm very positive about it, and I'm experiencing what is being said and taught. So I'm fine with it. But the other people who are from different lineage,
yeah,
they have problem that
yeah.
I'm not following the correct,
Let
you
it be,
know.
Mataji. Let it be. Let them believe that you cannot do anything about their opinion, and obviously you don't have to follow their opinion.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no, not
they
at
can do
all.
whatever they feel like. See,
Yeah.
Mataji, at the end of the day, you might listen to practically every class in the world. You might read every book on bhakti. The most important convincing factor in your bhakti will be your personal experience, your realizations. That is what's going to sustain your bhakti. Everything else is secondary. Yeah, you might hear to classes, you might read Bhagavatam sincerely, everything. Until unless you won't have realizations, you won't relish it, you won't see the love improving, love growing, you'll not be able to sustain it. And if you are seeing it, you just stick with it. Because now you know that, as Krishna is saying in the ninth chapter, Prataksha Vagmam Dharmayam, Susukham Kartum Avyam. It's Prataksha Vagmam. You will see it for yourself. And if you're seeing it, who cares what the world thinks? You just keep going, keep going.
Yes,
Once,
Prabhu.
once Prabhupada was on a walk in what was that? Venezuela, Caracas, 1975, right? Uh, Prabhupada was saying to his disciples that instead of trying to contemplate what's going on around me, and I might be rephrasing a bit what Prabhupada said in this, instead of trying to contemplate what's going on around me, what's happening with this world, what's happening with everything around me, you know, just chant Hare Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. Don't consider what will happen to this world. The nature will take care of it. Don't puzzle your brain with these thoughts. Utilize whatever time you got in your possession. Go back home, back to Godhead. I cannot check what's going on around me. So all we can do is just be instruments for Krishna's mercy. But it's nobody, Krishna does not say that if once you become an instrument, everything will be fixed. No. If I am lucky enough, Krishna or my guru will make me an instrument. I'll do some service, in whatever way my guru shows me. By that, because of my guru's mercy, because of Prabhupada's mercy, some people might get connected, some people might not. But it's not, I'm not responsible for it. It's all Krishna's job, he's doing it. Just put oil in your own machine and just keep going.
Yeah, Prabhu, that should be the attitude,
Yeah,
and
that should
that's
be
the
the
correct
attitude.
attitude to follow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Because sometimes I become a little bit morose when I see that unnecessarily blames and all that come your way. Not that I'm discouraged, but you feel a little bit bad about it. That's it.
For that, Mataji, as I do it, I recommend everybody, I might have recommended many times in this discussions also, you should have a inventory of your positive experiences. When you have an inventory of your positive experiences, you can always go back to them and read them. Collect collect quotes from Prabhupada, from mark down verses where Prabhupada is speaking something very motivating. Mark them down, write them down somewhere, print it, post it on your refrigerator. We all need it. We have to figure out ways to keep ourselves motivated. I'm not yet out of this Maya. I'm still stuck deeply into it. I have to figure out a way to motivate myself. So don't let yourself get demotivated. Okay, so
Okay,
let's
thank
keep
you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Anything else before we jump back?
Yeah, I have one question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Um,
Krishna.
so you talked about uh, our relationship or our feelings towards Krishna should be of mameti, like possessiveness. So I want to understand like how this possessiveness is different from the material possessiveness, like because when we talk about possessiveness, it's kind of like I don't want that person to be talking to anyone else. That's like mine. And then the example you cited, like Radharani gets angry when like Krishna goes to Chandravati.
Chandravali.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just want to understand like what kind of possessiveness we are talking about here.
So, see, you want to understand the difference between spiritual and material possessiveness. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah. So you like joined late, but whatever I heard that we should be possessive towards Krishna, right?
Yeah.
We should have a feeling of possessiveness. So what kind of possessiveness we are talking about, and how is that
Okay.
different from the material possessiveness?
Yeah. Material possessiveness, it's demonstrated by words like, I own this car, this house is mine. This concept is based on false ego. I'm talking about material possessive, just that part now. I see everything, it exists for my enjoyment. Okay. When we have a spouse, or when, let's see, spouse, forget about it. Let's take a step back. When we fall in love, we say that the concept of falling in love is basically that this person satisfied my senses in the right way. Okay, this person is good looking, right? Okay, so it's satisfying my senses of my eyes, or physical, whatever it may be. So, but then at the end, the core of it is my enjoyment. The idea that I am the controller and proprietor. My house, my family, my car, my money. Even with Krishna, material possessiveness, you can even direct towards Krishna also. I want Krishna to fulfill my desires. He should help me succeed. It's centered on self-enjoyment. It's centered on manipulation. It's centered on insecurity. Because I don't have a spiritual aspect, I don't have spiritual understanding of myself, I cling on to these things because of the fear of losing everything. And we identify ourselves with what we think we possess. Right? I was in a today and yesterday, I was in a full day training sessions. There was a training going on. And in the beginning of the training session, they had a nice, just casual, tell us something about yourself. Nearly everybody was telling, at least not everybody, at least 5 or 6 out of the 30 people in that, they were telling, I have run a marathon. I'm so physically fit. I have done a Ironman, or I don't know, whatever. There are different kinds of marathon. But it was all based on their body. It's that with this body, I enjoyed. I did this, I did that. So it's all about enjoying this body, and there is this sense of self-enjoyment. Krishna says this in the 16th chapter, 14th verse. Krishna says that so much is mine now, and it will increase in the future. Right? That's what Krishna says. That's the concept of a demoniac. Coming to spiritual possessiveness now. In bhakti, a devotee aspires to see everything as Krishna's. This is Krishna's. My spouse is also Krishna's. I have a relationship with my spouse, my children, everything, but it's the relationship is through Krishna, right? And Krishna is mine. That comes out of not out of ego. It comes out of love. That's the purest form of possessiveness. It arises from deep affection, not from a desire to control anything. Mother Yashoda thinking that Krishna is my son, Gopi saying Krishna is my lover, devotee thinking I belong to Krishna and Krishna belongs to me. Here, the word mine is not possessive in the worldly sense. It's a declaration um, of relationship, not ownership. Jivera Sarup hoy Nitya Krishna Das. That the eternal nature of a soul is that I am a servant of Krishna. Right? So that kind of a possessiveness, there's an ownership, there's a relationship here. There's not an ownership. I don't own Krishna, or like it's not like Krishna is my order supplier. So that's the difference between both of them. So the broadest difference is material is based on ego and control. Spiritual possessiveness is based on love and surrender.
Okay.
That's the basis to. Did that make sense?
Yep, it does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, let's jump on to further on. Oh, yes, Atiyal Veli Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhuji, on mute. Prabhuji, can you repeat that again about Krishna is mine and our relationship with him?
What I was just saying just a minute ago, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I was trying to capture it. You went too
Okay.
fast.
Okay. So material possessiveness is based on self-enjoyment. It's based on manipulating our environment. It's based on an insecurity that I have because I fear of losing everything, because I don't understand my spiritual entity. Bhakti, spiritual possessiveness, here mine is not possessive. It's a declaration of relationship, not ownership. And there, uh, the declaration of relationship, I said, and what was the word? It's just not based on ownership. That's what I said. A devotee feels, I belong to Krishna and Krishna belongs to me. Gopi is saying, Krishna is my lover. Yashoda Maiya saying, Krishna is my son. Subal saying, Krishna is my friend. All of that is not based that I own Krishna. No. It's out of that relationship I have with Krishna, and the relationship is based on deep affection for Krishna. That was what I was saying.
Thank
Okay.
you, Prabhuji. Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
And now, as we go on to, okay, let's come back to here. Where's that? I don't know why is this black box coming up there. So this Prabhupada tells us, and Rupa Goswami, this pure love can be transferred to the Supreme Lord under two conditions: out of ecstasy, out of causeless mercy. Ecstasy, as we know, is bhava, and the causeless mercy is causeless mercy of Krishna. He can give it to anybody he wants, no questioning Krishna. Ecstasy, as we talked about, it's coming through the bhava part, right? We did Vedi Bhakti, then we came to bhava, from bhava we came to Ruprema. So let's see the first part, ecstasy part. A devotee, in the course of executing the regulative principles of devotional service, develops his natural Krishna consciousness, and being thus softened at heart, he chants and dances like a madman. While performing chanting of the holy name of the Lord, he sometimes cries, sometimes talks wildly, sometimes sings, and sometimes, without caring for any outsider, dances like a madman. This is Prabhupada is paraphrasing the 11.2.40 verse, whereas Evam Vrta Supriya Nam Kritya Jatanuragudruta Chit Ucha Hasati Atho Rodati Rauti Gayati Unmadhava Nrityati Lokbhaya. That's the verse Prabhupada is paraphrasing here. So this shows that how a devotee comes to that level where he's no more concerned about what's around him. It shows that constantly practicing the regulative principles of Vedi, it can arouse bhava. There can be an intoxicating maddening by the love of God. That is perfection. And Mahaprabhu demonstrated that for us. You know, there is a episode where he sees the ocean, he jumps into the ocean thinking it's Yamuna. And then a fisherman who was fishing at night, he had thrown his net, and in that net he captures Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy at that time. He was unconscious. So that devotee does not care for anything. Obviously, Mahaprabhu is not a devotee; he's Krishna himself. So, but devotee doesn't care for anything else, right? So sometimes we see that some people develop devotional emotions, but you don't see them coming through Vedi. So we have to understand that it is coming from their past lives. Okay. And however, we practicing devotees don't think that, and the other aspect that I was talking, sorry, taking a step back, the other aspect was through mercy. Yes, we talked about it the last time. We don't demand mercy from Krishna. Right? Devotees just endeavor and they depend on Krishna for it. Right? They just say, wait for Krishna's mercy. They don't say, no, Krishna, give me mercy. No, it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes you might see in this material world also, a person, he writes a very good book and then it becomes a huge success. Then some universities call him and say, oh, we want to give you an honorary degree, and they give him. But that doesn't mean that I won't go to college and say, no, I'll get an honorary degree later on. No, we don't do that. Similarly, in bhakti, we do our Vedi, we do our devotional practices as a guru, as a spiritual master Prabhupada has given us, and we just keep following that. Right? When we show this endeavor of ours, that attracts Krishna's mercy. If a person falls down in a well, someone throws a rope and pulls that person out. But the man also has to do some endeavor, right? He's in the well. He has to hold on to the rope, climb onto the well to come out as quickly as possible. So, in material world, we do a bargain. You see a bargain, right? Get as much as possible and give as minimum as possible. Bhakti is not a bargain. It's not a business. That's not the mood of a devotee. Okay? So understand. So ecstasy and mercy. So just want to clarify those. So the ecstasy can also be two ways, right? So somebody who's doing Vaidhi Bhakti, right? He can also get mercy, or he can also come to the level of prema, as I said. And somebody who's on the level of Raganuga. Raganuga means we are following a pure devotee, like somebody in Golok Vrindavan. So that route also we can come. So that's something I think Prabhupada talks about it later on. So that can also be done. And then there's this example of Chandrakanti. We saw this example in the last chapter also. Chandrakanti she got into such ecstasy by seeing the deity form that she danced the whole night. So this is the ecstatic love born out of spontaneous affection. That's what is being talked about. There's spontaneous affection happened. When such a thing happens, what we understand is that that person has done bhakti in their past lives and they have come to perfection. Okay. So by the maturation of her bhava, Chandrakanti, she began to constantly engage in meditation on Krishna's form with the concept that Krishna is my lover. So that was the mamatva aspect, a symptom of prema. Thus she achieved prema by maturation of the bhava and through that raganuga sadhana, because she was following the pure devotees, gopis, and she, by following that raganuga path, her bhakti matured into prema. Then the next part is mercy, right? So this is a verse from the 11th canto, 12th chapter, verse 7. Krishna is talking to Uddhava, and he's talking about gopis. The gopis in Vrindavan did not study the Vedas to achieve me, nor had they ever been to a holy place of pilgrimage, nor did they devoutly execute any regulative principles, nor did they undergo any kind of austerity. It is simply by my association that they have attained the highest perfection of devotional service. So, in Golok Vrindavan, there are different kind of gopis. Right? They've never, so somebody might say, oh, they live in Vrindavan, that is a place of pilgrimage. But they were born in Vrindavan. They were living there. For them, it was not a place of pilgrimage. They were not following any regulative principle. They were not like very devoutly executing them. They didn't go under any kind of austerity. It was through the association of Krishna that they attained perfection. Some gopis, when Krishna played his flute on Ras Leela day, some gopis couldn't go. But just in that agony of not being able to go to Krishna, they purified themselves. Also, that's also a thing. Okay, so what else is Prabhupada saying? Okay, spontaneous attraction to Krishna, which is said to be due to the extraordinary mercy of the Lord, can be placed under two headings. One is profound veneration for the greatness of Lord, and the other is one's being automatically attracted to Krishna without any extraneous consideration. So even the mercy part can be divided to two. That's what we are being told. Where one is by knowledge of Lord's majesty, and the other is just by any extraneous condition. Again, just automatically it comes. There's no extraneous consideration that, oh, because of this it happened. It just automatically happens. So that's mercy so Krishna can give mercy to anybody, anytime, automatically, without any extraneous condition. Another aspect of that mercy could be that it could come from the veneration, the awe, the reverence towards Krishna, right? So the revelation, let's look at the revelation part, where the mercy comes through reverence. Here, prema is imbued with knowledge of Lord's greatness. Right? And I think Prabhupada goes on to say here, okay, let's read it further. Excuse me. In Narada Pancharatra, it is said that if, on account of profound veneration for the greatness of the Supreme Lord, one attains a great affection and steady love for him, one is certainly assured of attaining the 4 kinds of Vaishnava liberation, namely achieving the same bodily features, achieving the same opulence of Lord, dwelling on planet where the Lord is residing, attaining eternal association. So there are 5 total types of liberation. The 5th one, which is not being mentioned here, is what the Mayavadis did. This is merging into the effulgence of, merging into the Lord, which is ekatva. That's not being referred to here, right? So that's the aspect of mercy coming through reverence. Yes, Mataji.
Sorry, on mute. Prabhuji, so merging into Krishna, is that like, I mean, is that recommended that, we also strive for that? Or because, Mira Devi, right? She was crazy about Krishna. She was like unconditional love, and did she not merge into Krishna? Like, because her love was just out there, right? I mean, just like something you normally don't see,
Yeah, it was out there. However, we, as Prabhupada does not, or Prabhupada in the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we don't, I wouldn't use the word approve of. I would say we don't want to follow the path of Mirabai, because Mirabai, for one, she didn't have a guru. But then somebody can generate that pure love, Krishna's mercy. We're talking about that. What Prabhupada has given us is that we go through the channel, that guru-shishya relationship. We do our devotional practices as Prabhupada has given us, and then at the right time, it will come to us. It will open up to us.
So she didn't have a guru. So how did she get the knowledge? I know she was one of like when she came down, she previously had like a, I guess, Ashtashakhi relationship with Krishna. That's how she knew she had that knowledge based on her previous karma, right, in her previous life. And I mean, that's the only thing I understand, and I remember that that's how she got all that. She remembered basically, right?
Yeah. So I'll give you what Prabhupada has said. Prabhupada says, when you merge in Krishna, there is no relationship. If there is no relationship, there is no enjoyment. There is no fulfillment.
Okay.
And it's okay. I'm not saying, and I wanted to show you this verse here. This is 3rd canto, 29th chapter, verse number 13, where the 5 different types of liberations have been discussed. And Prabhupada very clearly tells us, so there are 5. Salokya, Sashti, Samipya, Sarupya, and Ekatva. So the word Ekatva means oneness, which is what we are talking about, merging. Okay. It is clearly stated herein that a pure devotee does not desire Ekatva, oneness with the Supreme Lord, as desired by the impersonalists, mental speculators, and meditators. To become one with the Supreme Lord is beyond the dream of a pure devotee. Sometimes he may accept promotion to Vaikuntha planets to serve the Lord there, but he will never accept merging into the Brahman effulgence, which he considers worse than hellish. Such ekatva, or merging into the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, is called kaivalya, but the happiness derived from kaivalya is considered by the pure devotee to be hellish. The devotee is so fond of rendering service to the Supreme Lord that the 5 kinds of liberation are not important for him. Okay? So I wanted to highlight this section, which Prabhupada is clearly telling us. We don't desire oneness with Krishna. We want to serve Krishna. And for that, we need to maintain our identity. And Krishna himself says this in the 15th chapter, verse number 7. Mamayivamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manha shishtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Where Mamayivamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. That you are my ansha, but that is sanatana, forever. It's not like sometimes you were a part of me and then you went away from me. No. So this is 15.7. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. I will never merge with Krishna. That is not what Krishna is saying to us. If somebody practices it, somebody might have attained pure devotion. I cannot comment on that, Mati. I only have knowledge what Prabhupada has given us. From that, merging is not at all acceptable or not at all appreciated by devotees. If somebody gets it, somebody desires it, I'm happy for them, but not a path that I want to choose, because for me, what Prabhupada has given us is prime importance.
Okay. So my question was alluding towards, how did she get that unconditional love / bhakti for Krishna? That was what I was gearing towards. And later, I mean, it says that she merged, but I was trying to also understand the second part of it. But the key question was the attainment of bhakti, the pagal bhakti,
Hmm.
Yeah.
So Prabhupada acknowledges her as a devotee of the Lord, no doubt about that. And she was a Vaishnava. Prabhupada says that. However, Prabhupada didn't ask or didn't tell us that she's one of our gurus or acharyas that we should follow. And practically, I don't know. Prabhupada didn't know who was the guru of Mirabai, so I also don't know. I don't have that knowledge either. But she was from childhood, she was a devotee. But Prabhupada has told us that he didn't know whether she had a guru or not. Some people say Jiva Goswami was her guru, but that's not been corroborated by Prabhupada. And so I can only say that part, Mati, according to my knowledge about from Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Mirabai's guru was Bhakt Raidas, Ravidas, commonly known as, and he belonged to from the the person who makes shoes and all that group of people he belonged to. So she took the initiation from him.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that is a historical fact. So.
Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, as I said, my knowledge is limited to what Prabhupada has given us, and Prabhupada said that he doesn't know who's the guru of Mirabai. So, I'm not sure that you can look into what Achyutade Mataji is saying. Patilbili Mataji might get some insight there.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. I was just curious. I love the fact that she had so much bhakti for Krishna, and how do we attain some of that type of bhakti? That was basically it.
Well, we have so many devotees within our Gaudiya Vaishnava system. You can look at them. If you're looking for bhakti, we have a lot of lady devotees. We have Janva Mata, who was the wife of Nityananda Prabhu. She had a following. We have Devahuti. We have Vishnu Priya, who was the wife of Mahaprabhu. When you go to Mayapur, we still have the deity which Mahaprabhu gave her before he took sannyas. She prayed to that for her entire life. She was just, I think, 16 years old when Mahaprabhu left her. So there are many other, you can follow them, but but my knowledge, as I said, is limited to that aspect.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so yes, coming back to where we were. Yeah, so we are talking about the mercy and the through the knowledge of Lord's majesty, right? So mercy, right? So there is Prabhupada said something about this. Being automatically attracted to Krishna without any extraneous consideration. So automatic attraction. So then everything else, there's nothing else of attraction for that devotee. It becomes kevala prema, pure and one-pointed love. There's no other mixed with aspiration or interest, right? So they just focus completely on Krishna, right? So Yashoda Maiya's love is keval. So that's the purer form. Right? So then let's see what else is there. There is association with pure devotees. Let's see what's in Narada Pancharatra. Lord Shiva therefore tells Parvati, "My dear Supreme Goddess, you may know from me that any person who has developed the ecstasy of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who is always merged in transcendental bliss on account of this love, cannot even perceive the material distress or happiness coming from the body or mind." So it's gone beyond body and mind. We cannot understand love from the externals. Right? For example, if you look at the passport, I was telling this to some devotee on Sunday. If you look at the passport of Prabhupada's photo in that, Prabhupada looks very grave. It looks very, very angry or that kind of a mood. Somebody asked Prabhupada, why were you so grave in this passport photo? Prabhupada said, I was not grave. I was in ecstasy. So Prabhupada explained to him that ecstasy doesn't depend on my external features, on my smile, but it depends on the remembrance of Krishna. So that's what Lord Shiva is telling Mother Parvati. So okay, so let's see what else is. I think we're wrapping up this chapter now. Oh yes, so Rupa Goswami, he says, the affection and dealings of love that are different branches of the original tree of love precede many varieties of affectionate manifestations that will not be discussed here, Prabhupada is saying. These different manifestations have been described by Sanatana Goswami in Bharat Bhagavatamrit. If you have not read Bharat Bhagavatamrit, I highly recommend, please read that book. Your bhakti will get so much more deep and intense when you will read Bharat Bhagavatamrit, which Sanatana Goswami has written. It was revealed to him. It's not something that he sat down and wrote. It was a revelation. Right? So it's something that you should. It's a Bharat Bhagavatamrit. Actually, just like Srimad Bhagavatam is a discussion within a discussion, Bharat Bhagavatamrit is the explanation. So what happened when Parikshit Maharaj was done with hearing the Bhagavatam? So he was walking towards Ganges, river Ganga, because he knew that okay, Takshaka, the snake bird, will come and kill him and ignite him. And he was just doing that. And so his mother came to him. So who was the mother of Parikshit? Uttara. And Uttara said, son, I couldn't sit close to you and hear what was being said. Can you give me an essence of what was said to you? That's what Bharat Bhagavatamrit is. Parikshit Maharaj explaining to Uttara, Mother Uttara, what he heard from Sukadev Goswami in Bhagavatam. That's what Bharat Bhagavatamrit is. So please read that book. I have some copies of me with me. If you like to, I can give
Yeah, I'll take one, Prabhuji. I was just getting ready to ask, and you said it.
I think you already have it. Mataji, I gave you, I remember last year. Last year,
Oh, is that the
last year,
four
maybe.
or three or four books, Prabhuji?
Three volume, yes.
Okay.
Yes. If anybody wants it, please let me know. I think I have a couple of copies sitting in the storage. But that's one book that everybody should read. I highly recommend. It's such beautiful love. It's a story format, and you'll be relishing that love soon. Okay. Srila Rupa Goswami thus concludes the first division of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, offering up his treatise for the transcendental pleasure of Sanatana Goswami, whom he considered as his guru, and to other Goswamis. Okay. So this is the end here. Hare Krishna. So,
Hare Krishna.
how do I?